Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our August Change Day 2023 public meeting tonight. We are looking forward to having a discussion with you about the proposed changes, and we will continue. I'm going to just share our brief agenda if I can get the slides to advance. So we're going to go over the proposed changes for August 2023. We will have an opportunity for everyone to ask questions, get some answers, hopefully, or if we can't answer your questions, we'll get back to you. And then an opportunity to also share your comments about the proposal. By the way, my name is Megan Waters. I'm with the community engagement team at UTA. I am joined by a few UTA colleagues tonight from our planning team and our community engagement team. Just a brief orientation to our Zoom features tonight. You probably are all very familiar with this, but if you're not, we are using the chat function tonight, as well as the raise the hand function. You should be able to see those icons on the bottom of your Zoom screen if you're joining from a computer. We also, I think, depending on how I set up the settings, you should have a Q&A feature. You can either type questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll be monitoring both. And then if you are interested in having closed captioning this evening, you should be able to have that pop up on your screen by turning them on in that CC box there. So I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Eric Callison. He is our Manager of Service Planning at UTA, and I will give it over to him. Go ahead, Eric. We can't hear you yet.
I cannot get my options to come up. So hopefully you can hear me now. Thank you, Megan, for helping me unmute. And so as Megan said, I am Eric Callison. I'm the Manager of Service Planning here at UTA. We're going to do a quick walkthrough of the changes as soon as I can get the slides to advance. There we go. We have received a lot of positive feedback already about the changes. We're very excited about that. Happy to be able to offer several service increases as well as some adjustments to the system this coming August, including OGX service in Ogden, increased track service on Saturdays. We will be working with High Valley Transit on the Park City service this year, but UTA is proposed to stop running that. We have some changes to the flex routes, as well as to the FrontRunner schedule, and some changes that we hope to do, contingency improvements pending the availability of our workforce as we go through the year. So we'll start with Salt Lake and Summit counties. We do have some changes to the flex routes F202 and F570. This is for a couple of reasons. One is to improve the reliability on route F570. It's very hard to keep this route on time, partly because of congestion and just because of the way the street network is laid out in this part of Midvale. So we are proposing to send route F570 down Bingham Junction Boulevard past Bingham Junction Station and down to Center Street or 7720 South in Midvale and into Midvale Center Station. Route F202, which currently ends at Bingham Junction Boulevard, we would instead extend further north on 700 West, all the way up to Winchester Street, where it will turn into Fashion Place West Station instead of Bingham Junction Station. Also on the south end, Route F202 would go into the South Jordan FrontRunner Station rather than the Sandy Civic Center track station. And the main reasons for that is to help cover some of the area that the F570 will not be covering by going on Center Street instead of 7200 South. This also allows us to expand our coverage in Midvale a little bit to the Senior Center. There's a few other destinations on the 700 West corridor. It also allows us to provide a connection on the north end of the F202 to both the red and blue lines on tracks where currently we can only provide a connection to the red line. In order to make that extension work, we are just shortening the route a little bit on the south end and bringing it into South Jordan Station instead of Sandy Civic Center Station. so that the route does not become too long for us to run. As I mentioned, Park City, Salt Lake City service, we have already suspended some of that service, and High Valley Transit has been running Route 107 between Salt Lake Central Station and Kimball Junction Transit Center in Summit County. We have been running a shortened version of Route 902 between the 3900 South Wasatch Park and Ride in Mill Creek and the Kimball Junction Transit Center. The only change here is that we would discontinue that Route 902 service, and Route 107 run by High Valley Transit would become the way to get between Salt Lake and Summit counties. In Weber County, as I mentioned, the big news is a new bus rapid transit line, OGX line, that will go into effect in August between the Ogden FrontRunner station, downtown Ogden, 25th Street, Harrison, and the Weber State University Ogden campus, as well as McCady Hospital, the event center. That does replace some existing service in the area, the local Route 603, as well as the Fast Bus 650, which has been suspended since last year, will be officially discontinued. And then Route 602, which is also known as the Wildcat Shuttle, we have been running that every 5 to 10 minutes through Weber State campus. We will be scaling that back. It'll still be the same number of trips overall. We just won't run all of them on the Wildcat Shuttle. Some of them will be full OGX trips, and some of them will be the short trips between the D Event Center and Weber State Central Station. On the rail side, we're also pleased to be able to offer increased 15-minute service on Saturdays on tracks and the S line. Currently, we run 15-minute service on weekdays, but 30-minute service on Saturdays and Sundays. We have received a lot of feedback from the community that this would be a beneficial improvement. And we've also received a lot of enthusiastic feedback so far during the public comment period. So we're pleased to be able to offer 15-minute service on Saturdays on tracks. On FrontRunner, we will be making some schedule adjustments to improve the on-time reliability. Currently, trains don't have a very long period of time to turn around in Provo, and so trains sometimes start late going north out of Provo and are late the whole way up. So by making a few adjustments behind the scenes, we hope to be able to improve the schedule reliability. This is not an increase to the FrontRunner service overall. We hope that that will come at some point in the future, but this is what we're able to do to improve the performance of the FrontRunner service that we have. And as I mentioned, there are some contingency changes. These are regarding bus routes 39, 201, and 218 in Salt Lake County. Prior to December 2022, Route 39 ran 15 minutes on weekdays, and routes 201 and 218 ran 30-minute service on weekdays. In conjunction with a number of other changes that we made in December 2022, in order to preserve as much service as possible with the workforce that we had, in order to add ski service, we had to make a number of other adjustments throughout the system, and that included these routes. We reduced Route 39 from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and routes 201 and 218 from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. We would like to put these back to their previous schedules, but they are listed as contingency changes because we want to make sure that we have the workforce in place. I know that we have been getting a lot of questions at UTA about, well, what are you doing to hire people? And so just briefly, I can say we do have a new union contract approved that does include a significant increase in pay for both bus operators, rail operators, and mechanics. We are doing a large amount of talent acquisition work. We're doing media buys, advertisements. We're doing hiring events. We do have an early operator onboarding program in place so that if you get the job offer, you can start working at UCA the next day. Our training classes don't start every day, but we do. That does allow us to get people in the door and hopefully get a lot of their hiring paperwork and that kind of thing taken care of while we're waiting for the class to start, instead of people having to wait a couple of weeks before they can start. They can start learning about UTA, being trained, and earning a wage. We do hope to see our hiring situation turn the corner on that. We have a number of other improvements that we want to put in place. As soon as we have a little bit more workforce, we feel confident that we can make some adjustments to our scheduling practices to help operators have a better work experience from the very beginning of their tenure at UTA. We hope to be able to reduce turnover, increase hiring, and that means that we would be able to put back more service. There's a number of routes, as many people on the call probably know, that have been running a reduced level of service since April 2020, since the start of the COVID pandemic. And we have a long list of things that we would like to put back as soon as we're able to. We're anxious to be able to put this service back. This is what we're aiming for August 2023, and we hope to be able to put these routes back to their previous levels of service. And that is the summary of the changes. So as Megan mentioned, you can use the hand raise feature, or you can type in the chat or in the Q&A box any questions or comments that you have.
Like Eric said, please go ahead and type any questions that you might have in the chat box or the Q&A. If you prefer to verbalize, or if that's easier for you, we can help accommodate that. It looks like Curtis has his hand raised. So Curtis, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to talk and let us know what your question is. You should be able to unmute.
Yes, should be able to hear me now. This is Curtis Herring, Curtis Herring, Executive Director of the Utah Transit Writers Union. Just wanted to comment and let you guys know that we really do appreciate some of these updates and changes that you've made. And I am particularly pleased to hear about the hiring processes and changes that you've made on that front too. We are optimistic that you were able to get those new routes. But yeah, just as a general statement, I just want to let you know we're positive and feel that this is a good change for the transit rider.
Thank you very much, Curtis.
Thanks, Curtis. It looks like Beverly has a question. So ski bus service being restored to 15-minute intervals and Route 972 restored. Maybe that's a comment, but I just wanted to read that aloud so everyone can hear that statement from Beverly. Oh, it's a question. Okay. Eric, do you want to address that?
As I'm pretty sure everybody also knows, we did run a reduced level of ski service during this ski season. That's, I would say it's wrapping up, but I don't know anything about the weather anymore. But we did run reduced levels of service on Route 972 and Route 994 in Salt Lake County, and Route 953 we did not run at all. And that is a contingency item for December at this time. It's kind of in the same bucket as the 39, 201, and 218 for August. It is our goal. It's our ambition to reach that goal by the end of the year, that we can have enough operators to put back 15-minute service on routes 972 and 994 would be the first step that we would take. And then if we have any additional staff, we would assign them to or allow them to bid on, I should say, additional service on Route 953. And then we have a follow-up question. Have you considered running longer service in spring? Yes, we'd love to. I'm not sure at this point what the situation is on that. We are missing multiple trips every day at this point. In fact, the bus trip that I will be taking home from the office after this public hearing is canceled for tonight. So I'll be waiting for the next one. And so I think that will be a determination that we'll need to make with operations in the next week, if there is a possibility of doing that. But I think at this point, until we are able to get a few people through the door, it may be a question of by stopping ski service for the season, that will actually bring us back in line with where we need to be. Normally after ski season, we do have a surplus of drivers. We have more drivers than we have shifts. And so we do extra training. We do a lot of other things. This year, unfortunately, it looks like we may just be coasting in for a landing when we go off of ski service. But certainly if there is an opportunity, we would be anxious to provide, even a limited amount of service to the ski resorts after April Change Day, if that is possible. But that will kind of be a determination we'll have to make with operations.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks for your questions, Beverly. I'm gonna hop over. I see there's another question in the chat, but I'm gonna go to the Q&A where Chad has asked about when we expect to launch the on-demand service in Utah County to replace the route that used to serve the Silicon Slopes, which he says is the former Route 864.
Yes. So Route 864 is currently still officially suspended. We did make a couple of attempts to bring that back since the pandemic, but it's been kind of weird. Different employers have given us different answers. So we are kind of in a holding pattern with that. We do have in the 5-year service plan, in the vision section, adding on-demand service to that entire area. Basically everywhere that the 864 covered and the 871 covers now. That will be a question of whether or not we're able to manage the on-demand service that we currently have. The on-demand service that we are currently running has proven extremely popular, and we're happy about that, but it has also caused a few problems that people are not always able to book rides when they want to. And so we're trying to manage that demand, whether we need to pour a little bit more budget into that or make some adjustments to the service to make it, a little less expensive to run. We don't know exactly what the answer is to that, but we do have 4 additional on-demand areas that we'd like to deploy kind of once we've gotten that tacked down. One of those is the Silicon Slopes area. We have 2 areas in Salt Lake County adjacent to the current on-demand area in Southern Salt Lake County. And then we also have North Weber County, Pleasant View, North Ogden, Plain City, Marriott, Slaterville area. And I don't have a launch date for those, but they are very much on our list. They're in the plan to do pretty much as soon as we have the requirements for on-demand kind of more under control. On-demand is still a very new service for us, and we're still learning about how it grows. The Salt Lake City West Side area grew more than 1,000% in 2022, and that was not what we were expecting. So we're trying to learn how to manage that, and we hope to be able to expand that program soon. And then Megan did just put in the chat the link to the UTA 5-year service plan. It's rideuta.com/FYSP 5-year service plan. And there's a link on that page that will take you to the actual 5-year service plan document.
Great. And someone let me know that maybe my audio is breaking up, but I'm going to try and make sure you can hear me. So we had a question. I'm going to go back, Eric, to the flex route slide. So Mel asked about how come the F202 route was changed. So I'm just going to take us back to that slide and let you go over that one more time.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, just to briefly review, F202 changes are kind of a piggyback on the F570 changes. We are making changes to the F570 because the current route cannot run on time with the schedule that we've given it because of the traffic and the road situation right there around 700 West, 7200 South, Bingham Junction area. So by moving Route F570 down to 7800 South or Center Street, we do lose a little bit of coverage to some of the destinations in Midvale, such as the Senior Center and a couple of other commercial locations along that corridor. So we're moving the F202 out of Bingham Junction Station and onto 700 West up to Winchester Street. And then by tying into Fashion Place West Track Station, that allows us to have connections to the Blue Line and the Red Line on the north end of the route. And then we have just on the southern end, in order to manage the length of that route, and without getting into too many dry details, flex routes have to be a certain length in order to manage the deviations. They become too long, then it's hard to keep the schedule as well. So just to keep that route within a running time that allows us to manage those deviations, we're shortening it a little bit on the southern end. So as far as alternative routes, you can still connect to the Blue Line, from the Blue Line to the F202 at Fashion Place Station. And depending on where you're going on the route might mean a slightly longer travel time, might mean a slightly shorter travel time. That connection still exists.
hopefully that gets at your question, Mel, and if it doesn't, please feel free to share any follow-up. Yes. Okay. So Lisa is asking, can you explain to me why there's no bus service north of Ogden? It sure would be nice to have an option that feeds Logan into Ogden or Pleasant View FrontRunner stations to access points south. So that's a little outside the scope of the August change day proposal, but Eric, do you want to take just a quick minute and talk about kind of the service area in general?
Yeah. Just briefly, Logan is not part of UTA's taxing district. They do have their own transit agency, CVTD, Cache Valley Transit District. So we don't have any jurisdiction there. However, as many of you know, we did have up until this year an interlocal agreement with Summit County and Park City to run service across county lines and across jurisdictions. There's certainly no reason why we couldn't do something like that with Logan if there was an interest, or with Cache County. And could lead to something like we have now, where High Valley Transit is going to provide that service into Salt Lake County, where we have an understanding between the agencies. If there is interest in that, if there's somebody in the community that we could be put in contact with in Logan or with Cache County or with CVTD, we're certainly more than happy to have that conversation.
Great, thanks, Eric. And just for the record, would you please confirm the exact date of August change day? And I will type the answer for everyone to in the Q&A.
Yes, August change day is August 20th, 2023. It's a lot of 20s in there. I did want to speak to a comment that Beverly left in response to my previous explanation. She says the new Cottonwood shuttle van service on weekends did not seem to have problems hiring drivers. We welcome collaboration with the private sector on this. We do have certain limitations in our union contract about seasonal work and about the hours and the scope of being able to offer people hiring incentives. It's definitely based more around year-round, like career type work than like a seasonal shuttle, like we've been able to collaborate with the county and with the other entities that have been involved in that. We absolutely believe that there are markets that other entities can serve better than we can, and we don't have any kind of territorial aspirations on that. Like it has to be UTA. If we can have a private service supplement or replace something that we're not able to run to the community's satisfaction, that's definitely something that we're open to. There are certain things that UTA does the best, and there are other things that it may be better for us to partner with the private sector or with another provider.
Thanks, Eric. And sorry for missing that comment, Beverly. Okay, while you all are thinking of some additional questions, I'm just going to pop over to the last slide just to make sure that everyone gets this information about the deadline for comments is April 21st of this month. So a couple weeks left where you can submit comments to us. That will be included in our formal public involvement record that we will read and consider and see if there's any movement we can make in the plan. If we're not able to do that, all of our customer comments and comments filed at any point during the year, but especially during public comment periods, are kept and filed and used during our 5-year service planning process as well. We have a continuous log of customer comments that we utilize frequently to inform the work that we do at UTA. I do want to encourage everyone to visit rideuta.com/change day. That's where you'll find the same information that Eric presented this evening, as well as some opportunities to submit your comment online or access us via email. So this is the email that you can reach us at. It's hearingofficer@rideuta.com. And if you needed to contact us via the phone, our customer service team can direct you to us to submit comments. So 801-743-3882 to get a hold of our customer service team. And I believe there are some additional comments coming in or questions. So we have one from Chad. Until on-demand service starts in Lehigh, could the route of 871 be modified to include the Ancestry and Exactware buildings that 864 used to serve? It's an uphill climb from the closest 871 stop to those buildings.
Yes, excellent question. I just want to take a second to acknowledge it is difficult to walk, it is difficult to run transit, and it is difficult to drive in that area. It's just difficult. So we appreciate you being transit warriors and using the transit system in this area, even though it's very difficult. That is a suggestion that I will bring up with our office in Orem that's over all of Utah County, to see if there is a deviation or a detour that could be applied to Route 871. And I don't know if we might, if we have like an email address we can follow up with, Megan, we can close the loop on that. I will definitely bring that up. That's something that we can consider.
Great. Yep. We have your name and we'll have a record of your email, so we can just contact you directly, Chad. All right, James asks, just to clarify the track service. So did you say that weekend service for tracks will go to 15-minute interval or just Saturday service? Yes, thank you. Currently just Saturday service. Sunday service will stay at 30 minutes. That's not our long-term goal. But at this point, we are trying to make incremental improvements, trying to take baby steps. We have a lot of other things that we would like to do in the future, including increasing the level of service on Sundays on tracks and adding Sunday service on FrontRunner. But this is where we're at for right now. We hope that the additional Saturday service will provide a better experience for people, and hope to be able to continue to improve the track system. Perfect. And then Lisa is just asking if there are any changes to the UVX route or stops in Provo and Orem in the near future. So right now, there are not any changes proposed to the UVX route. The 5-year service plan does include, again, as a contingency item, extending UVX service to the Provo airport. We decided not to pursue that for this coming August because that's partly contingent on whether the Missionary Training Center in Provo decides to use the Provo airport to transport large numbers of missionaries. If that happens, our current transit service is completely not up to the task. And so we would want to make that expansion. Currently, we do run a limited amount of service on Route 833. We recognize that that's not meeting all of the needs at the airport. And the MTC would be a big catalyst for us to get that service out there. If there are any other suggestions or times or places that you would need to get on UVX, we certainly welcome those, or additional times at the Provo airport, because all of the information that you send us. Oh, I see. I was thinking airport because that was in the 5-year service plan. 9th East, yes, there will be a stop on 9th East in Provo. It's not going to be open this year, but we will be notifying the public before that opens. So that is an important change that was going to be part of the route from the beginning, but there's been kind of a long involved process with the community in that area. A lot of the community feedback that we've received more recently has swung in favor of the station location. So we're excited to be able to provide that additional station on the east side of BYU campus, adjacent to the tree streets. That is not happening yet, but that will happen in the next couple of years, and we'll have some publicity and some public outreach for that when that happens. Thanks, Eric, for taking that one. James has a great question. He's asking if there's a similar webinar regarding the long-term planning, things like Sunday service for FrontRunner, extension of rail routes, bus rapid transit lanes, etc. And they say, I saw the survey regarding the long-term plan, but don't know if there's a live Q&A or similar regarding these long-term projects. So I'm really glad you asked that. We are trying to connect, and I'll let Eric talk in a second, but we are really trying to connect all of these pieces of our planning process. So our long-range plan, you're correct, is underway, and we will be doing similar public involvement opportunities like this, where folks can get questions answered and learn more about the process. And I will drop a a link in the chat just to the long range plan page. So you can follow along to that. Eric, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you answered the question very well. Just to say, we have the 5-year service plan, and now we are developing a long-range transit plan to include those things that are a little bit too big for just the 5-year service plan. 5-year service plan really focuses on what we feel like we can do right now. The long-range transit plan will have a lot more aspirational stuff, a lot more kind of vision stuff that we know that, we've gotten a lot of feedback and community outreach from people saying, yes, we want Sunday FrontRunner service. We want additional tracks lines. We want additional lines in lots of different places. So that's at rideuta.com/LRTP, long range transit plan. You can see information there. We'll also have any information about open houses such as this one there, as well as on our social media and on our website and through all of our communication channels. And we definitely want as much feedback as we can get on the long range transit plan. The more we hear from people that they need more stuff, the more we can go to entities like the state legislature and the federal government and say, we need money for these projects that we have strong feedback from the community that people want.
Great, thanks for the question, James. Philip is asking about, with the OGX opening, will there be any changes to snow routing of other routes on the Weber State Ogden campus?
Not to my knowledge. As far as I know, the other local routes that serve Weber State will continue to use the same regular route on Edvilson that they use today, as well as the same snow route. If there are any changes to that, that's not that typically gets noticed on the snow day, and I know we've had a lot of snow days this year. So for the upcoming the next winter of 23 through 24, if there are changes to the snow route, that will be up on our website, as well as when the routes actually go on snow route, we'll have notifications from customer service. If you're not signed up for our text notifications, I highly recommend that you do. Because then you will be able to find out what the snow route is and when the route is on snow routing. It says, change day page says regarding route F570, route moved from Midvale Fort Union to Fashion Place West. That is an error that we will correct. Route 570 is moving from Midvale Fort Union Station to Midvale Center Station.
Sorry about that. We'll get that fixed. Thanks for pointing that out.
We will correct that. And then the link in the chat, the rideuta.com/signup. If you go to that page, you can pick which routes you'd like to receive text notifications for. That's very useful. I use it every day. Route 209 that I often use to commute to work goes on snow routing very frequently. So it's very good. It's been very good for me to get those notifications on my way to and from work. And then I did want to acknowledge as well a comment from Ken Barker. So I just wanted to say that I'm really grateful for UTA and all you do. Thank you. And I'll say thank you, Ken. We appreciate the positive feedback. And we do want to provide the best service that we can for all of our riders.
So I know often our question and comment sections roll into each other. And I just want to give it an intentional opportunity for anyone who wants to let us know their comment right now to do so. I do encourage you also to take some time to go to the website and leave your comment this way. Alternatively, if you don't want to leave a comment today with us via the chat, or the question and answer box.
to Joseph's comment, understood.
Thank you. Thanks so much for pointing it out. I think we confused with the F570 and the F202. I think we got some of the descriptions mixed up there. Thanks, James. You guys are being very nice to us tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, so don't forget, April 21st is the deadline for public comment for August Change Day 2023. Tell all your friends. We want to make sure everyone knows about this before the comment period closes, and then can follow along throughout the summer as we get this into motion and kind of refine the plan. So I forgot to plug these resources at the bottom of this page here. Transit app is a great resource if you are using our system. It's great for trip planning, mapping out your route. We also have mobile ticketing available on the Transit app now. So we encourage everyone to download that. If you or someone you know needs support in learning the system, adapting to new routes or changes in the routes, we do have a travel training program, transit education program, and you can reach out to them at traveltraining@rideuta.com. Yeah, Joseph, thank you. If you have suggestions regarding the Ride UTA site for the bus and train schedule page, we always accept comments through our customer service team, and I can drop a link to their comment form and their contact information in the chat as well.
And customer service will forward that to our public relations group that maintains the website. And they'll send it to the exact right person for that. So we encourage you to leave your feedback there.
Kind of a messy link. Sorry about that. That'll get you there. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am going to stop the recording and stop live streaming. So thank you for joining. We really appreciate you. Have a great evening.